Justine grazed the hairbrush down smoothly through Rachel's long and beautiful brown hair as she drew in a breath, trying to reason with the princess. Do you not understand that the master wields the power of the sacred dark room? No man could stand against his strength, not even Salvador. If he has offered his help to you, it means that he has found great favor in you. You should rejoice and thank the heavens. If you were to accept his hand and become his queen, Kennedac would finally be safe for all of eternity. Don't you want that? Justine's frustration caused her to tug roughly on Rachel's hair, and she winced, raising her voice to answer. Ow! Please, you must understand. I want what he offers, to restore my kingdom and bring peace, but how can I know that he speaks the truth? Perhaps he only wishes to lure my people out of hiding, so that he may destroy the last of them. Or maybe, once he is king, he will dispose of me and rule my kingdom alone. Justine was silent as she set down the hairbrush. Her master had a reputation for deceitfulness and violence. But she also knew that he had spent decades overseeing his people, who struggled daily to survive in the forest and recover from the tragedy the goddess had brought upon them. For the loss he suffered, she felt pity for him. So did the princess. Rachel had listened to his painful story and understood what he had felt, and she could not deny that the Dark Lord was the only one capable of ending Salvador's attack without any more bloodshed. Salvador would obey his master and relent, but would Dovain rebuild the city and stay to rule over the people? Would he be a faithful husband and a good and noble ruler? Justine tied off Rachel's braid and took a deep breath as she stated, The choice is in your hands. I know you will do only what is best for Kennedac. I do not envy you, having to make such a choice. There is no doubt that this would be a great sacrifice to you, surrendering your heart and crown to a man you do not love. But do what you feel is right for your people, and no one can ask any more of you. Rachel gazed up into the mirror, into the eyes of her new friend. I must have time to think. I'm going to take a walk in the caverns. Thank you for helping me to dress. My mind is elsewhere, and I would be lost without your help. You are a kind friend. Justine bowed her head. It is my pleasure. The princess rose from her seat at the dressing table. The hem of her vibrant blue gown flared a bit as she turned to the doorway, leaving Justine's company to gather her thoughts in the solitude of the endless maze of caverns beyond the fortress. The hallways beyond the chamber were dim, and she made her way silently to the massive set of doors leading out into the inner sanctum. As she emerged from the fortress, the cool air of the caverns chilled her, though she could still smell the faint traces of hickory left from the fire, still burning since last night. She wandered toward it, but not before passing the corner of the stone tower, where the cluster of trees stood, bearing dozens of lovely fruits on their branches. A branch had been tied with a rope and weight, and was bent downward, low enough that, if she were to stand on her toes, she could snag one of the lovely crimson fruits dangling from the branch. So, with some effort, she leapt and snatched one, which was firm and deeply colored, and the stem snapped as it released. With her prize claimed in her dainty hands, Rachel smiled to herself. She had seen Dovain split the fruit in half between his hands when he had prepared a drink for her from its juice. But despite her efforts, Rachel was not strong enough to tear the thick skin of the fruit. So she peeled away at it bit by bit until she was able to pry the outer layer off. All the while she paced to and fro along the trees, her mind mulling over Dovain's proposition. Finally, she tore through the final layer of the fruit, and the juice streamed between her fingers as she pulled it apart. Quick to catch the spilling juice, she brought the fruit to her lips and crushed it in her hands, just as he had done. Dovain, of course, had mixed the juice with hot water and sugar, so she was unprepared for the startling sourness of the juice as it streamed from the crushed fruit. She winced at first, and then the sourness subsided, and she was left with the flavor she remembered from the mixture Dovain had prepared. A soothing sensation, something she could feel inside of her, spreading into her mind and her heart. A sudden peace. She had felt this when she had taken the first sip of the drink Dovain had handed her, and now she was greeted by it again. She wiped away the juice from her chin and gazed down at the wrung crimson rind in her hands and wondered about it. But with her thoughts of Dovain, she was reminded of his proposition and knew that she needed to make a decision. So, sitting down beneath the trees in the dim cavern, she gathered her thoughts and prepared herself for what would lie ahead that evening, knowing in her heart what her decision would be.